For generations, Native American students have faced challenges in accessing quality education. Many rely on federal funding and programs designed to support them, their culture, and their unique educational need. But now, with Donald Trump's latest move to shut down the US Department of Education, Native leaders and communities are calling it an outright betrayal. Let me tell you what exactly happened. So on March 20th, Donald Trump signed an executive order directing his education secretary, Linda McMahon, to close down the Department of Education. Well, this is a major decision that will impact millions of students across the country, including Native Americans, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian students. Tribal leaders are caught off guard. They say that they are not consulted, and many believe that this decision ignores the US government's long-standing responsibilities towards Native communities. To understand the root cause of this, let's discuss why are Native tribes outraged. First of all, the US government has legal and moral obligation to Native tribes. When decisions like this are made, tribal leaders are supposed to be consulted, but this time they weren't. Secondly, more than 90% of Native students attended public schools funded by the Department of Education. Without it, these students could lose access to essential resources, financial aid, and educational programs. Thirdly, many Native students rely on Pell Grants, federal student loans, and scholarships. If the Education Department shuts down, it's unclear who will oversee these programs or if they will continue at all. Fourth, tribal colleges provide education rooted in Native history, culture, and language. These institutions depend on federal funding to operate, and without it, they may struggle to survive. Now, you imagine that you are a Native student who dreams to going to a college. You have worked really hard, secured a Pell Grant, and plan to attend a tribal college or a public university. But suddenly, the Department of Education is gone. Who will process your grant? Will your school still get the money that it needs? Will your education be disrupted? Well, this is the uncertainty many Native students are facing right now. In the meantime, Mark McCarrow, president of the National Congress of American Indians, called this particular decision an attack on Native students' rights. He said that dismantling the Department of Education is a betrayal to Native nations and future generations too. Many other tribal leaders and education advocates agree with this. They believe that this particular move will set Native education back by decades. But the real question is, can Donald Trump really shut it down? Well, even though Trump signed the executive order, he cannot shut down the Department of Education on his own. Only Congress has the power to do that. But yes, some lawmakers have actually raised concern about how this will affect disadvantaged students. Others argue that the US has a legal duty to provide education to Native students and that eliminating the Department of Education violates those commitments. Well, the fight surely isn't over yet. The Senate Committee on Indian Affairs is set to discuss this particular issue, and many Native leaders are speaking out against this particular move. In the meantime, Native students and their entire families are left in limbo, wondering what their educational future will look like. If we look at a bigger picture here, if the Department of Education is shut down, Native students may have to rely on state government for education funding and policies. You know what the problem here is? State governments are not legally required to meet Native students' unique needs. Many fear that without federal oversight, resources for Native education will dry up and students will be left behind. So basically, in conclusion, education is the foundation for brighter future, right? For Native American students, it's more than just learning. It's about preserving their culture, their history, and their sovereignty. Trump's decision to dismantle the education department has left many feeling abandoned. The battle to protect Native education is just the beginning. And what happens next will determine the future of thousands of Native students across the country.